a worry of mine, press freedom. Reporters Without Borders ranked the Philippines 138th out of 180 countries in the most recent World Press Freedom Index. And attacks on the media have escalated under President Duterte, but even prior, the Philippines has long been one of the most dangerous countries in the world for journalists. The country has also one of the highest impunity rates in the world, with no one being held accountable in more than 80% of journalist murders over the last 10 years. Earlier this week, a number of us met with Maria Ressa, an investigative journalist, and Filipina, who is the founder of the online news site Rappler. She won the 2021 Nobel Peace Prize for her courageous reporting about abuses of power, uses of violence, and authoritarianism in the Philippines. Ahead of the national elections in the Philippines in May, the Filipino government has stepped up its harassment of both Maria Ressa and Rappler. If confirmed, how will you work to strengthen freedom of expression in the Philippines?
U.S. policy toward the Philippines is based on our shared values of rule of law, democracy, freedom of expression. And as we are seeing around the world, there's a rise in authoritarianism, which we need to work together with our like-minded partners in civil society and in government in the Philippines to counter, which is why I was really pleased to see that the Philippines participated in the Summit of Democracy and the year-long commitments that are being made, resulting in another summit coming up at the end of this year. So if confirmed, I would continue the work that our colleagues at the embassy are doing to work with all levels of civil society, including and especially journalists, including Maria Ressa and other members of the press who are struggling to tell the story so that we can combat disinformation and make sure that the truth is told about what is happening not only in the Philippines, but in other democracies around the world.
Thank you very much. I have a piece of bipartisan legislation with Senator Graham, the International Press Freedom Act, previously been introduced. We're working with the State Department on it now to make it even better, and I would hope to be able to get support of my colleagues on this committee for having a markup and improve that bill and get it out. The bill would provide resources to the State Department to amplify our efforts to protect journalists and include a special visa category that would enable threatened journalists to seek safe haven in the United States or other nations. Mr. Nathanson, and I suspect questions have been asked about this when I've been out of the room, but congratulations to you. Norway, what a great ally, a nation that's doing so many things right. They're trying to maintain strong energy production so that Europeans can have an energy source nearby that is not Russia, and I applaud them for that. If they can do more, I hope you will encourage them to do more. I know President Zelensky has been encouraging them, but one of the interesting things about Norway is that they've had a tradition of not sending weapons into non-NATO countries, and yet they're being such a strong supporter of the global democracy's efforts in Ukraine. They've shipped about 2,000 M72 anti-tank weapons, and recently, that's the latest shipment. The total number is now in excess of 4,000. And this is a dramatic change in direction from a policy that was in place since the 1950s of not sending arms to non-NATO countries that are at war. Talk a little bit about your understanding for how Norway is reassessing the relationship with Russia and their role not only with NATO, but more broadly for European security as the result of Vladimir Putin's illegal invasion of Ukraine.
As you said, Senator, and I appreciate the question, Norway is reassessing its relationship with its neighbor, Russia. They have a 121-mile border in the Arctic with Russia. But the Arctic Council, which Russia is a member of, 7 other nations in the Arctic Council have condemned Russia's unprovoked attack in Ukraine. And the Arctic Council is now at a standstill because of this. So Norway, as a leader in the Arctic area, is reassessing its own position with Russia and looking very seriously at the future with Russia. They recently expelled 3 Russian diplomats. As you said, they have broken a long tradition of Norway by sending arms to Ukraine, as well as financial aid. And if confirmed, I will continue to work with Norway to reassess their attitude and their positions as it relates to Russia.
Thank you. Senator Cruz?